Oh yeah, welcome back. Welcome to Brian Reeby Drives Electric. And welcome to Everyone's an Expert, where on the internet everyone thinks they're an expert, but generally when we can put our heads together, we can come up with a pretty good answer to most things. So thank you for joining me. A little rushed getting the set up right now, so tad out of breath. Gonna relax and get into it. So, welcome. Thanks for joining. Hi, John. Hi, Todd. Welcome. No hard braking now. Yeah, definitely. And Aaron, welcome. Yeah, it's been a whirlwind getting this set up, but anyway, I know it doesn't look like much in the background, but with the lights and everything, this is not my everyday setup for editing. So, but we got here. We're all here, and that's the important part. So, thanks for joining. The suspense was killing me. Yeah. Anyway, good news. I just got to 99 today on my score, so I know John got there a couple days ago, and hopefully maybe that means Friday will be included in that next round of beta, but we'll see. But I'll get into that more later. I wanted to start out with the intro. The oh yeah was kind of a holdover from last night where I spent a couple hours recording the 5-count radio show with Dustin Wilmus and Justin Klein. Dusty and Ton of the Fine 5-count. And we had a really great time. Talked a lot about EVs. I droned on far too long. But I did accomplish one of my goals in that I didn't only talk about Tesla. I was a little afraid I'd go in there and just go, well, the Model S does this and the Model Y does this. And, and I wanted to be a little more all-inclusive and welcoming in that. So we talked a good deal about Ford, especially with their cool new announcement yesterday. And we talked about some of the other brands, Rivian, Tesla, of course, a little bit, and Harley Davidson. So, that was a good time. And then we played a video game for their YouTube channel. 5-count on YouTube is they have a show called the 5-count Co-op. So we played an old Super Nintendo game and had a pretty good time doing that. It had its moments and it had its bad moments. So fun time there. So look for that. That radio show will air on Saturday on KMSU, or I think Saturday morning on the 5count.com they post it. And for the 5counts Patreon people, it'll probably be out tomorrow. So it should be interesting. You can point out all the things I said wrong in that interview. Just thinking back, there's a couple things where the wrong word came out of my mouth, or you're thinking of one thing and say the wrong thing. So there are things to nitpick in there. It wasn't perfect, but neither is this. So if you're watching this, it was a little more polished than this because I was feeling the pressure of being on real radio, which I know might not seem like a big deal in today's day and age, but the little kid in me who grew up near Mankato and thinking that was a pretty big town, which it is, would be doing, the little kid in me would be doing backflips to know I was actually on a radio show in a station from Mankato. So it was pretty exciting and, fun to hang out with them as well. So, so if you want to hear some other takes or some different questions I don't usually get or I don't usually think to talk about on here, there was some good stuff in that radio show, and it'll drop on Saturday, unless you want to sign up for their Patreon. But I'll leave that up to you guys. I'm not going to do the hard Patreon pitch, or John will sign off right now. Anyway. So yeah, John's a 99 now. The Kool-Aid guy. Oh yeah. Yeah, that is kind of how he did the, oh yeah. But that's kind of Tons. I can't remember where he got it. I think a different video game or something, but that's kind of Tons' big soundbite, I guess, on the show. And so I've got that stuck in my head. And then I've also got Dusty's saying, "And we're back," in his big radio voice. So I've got that all stuck in my head. And like I said, spent a few hours talking with them last night. So fun time, and look for that coming out. Meant to talk about that later, but here we are. I got sidetracked, as I'm wont to do. Anyway, what I wanted to talk about first was, and I'd love to get your opinions in the chat. I should have made a poll or something to see how people were feeling about this, but the Superchargers have started to open up. And I think it's a good thing. And I think it's ultimately going to be okay. There seems to be a little bit of panic from some people. We saw some of the first images on Twitter of a Mach-E charging, I think an ID3, and maybe an E-tron charging. And they weren't all pulled into the stations quite how we would like as Tesla owners, but it was, I kind of saw those posts as quick stop by, one layer at a time. I'm leaving you in suspense. But the posts, most of them were like, yeah, I couldn't really test the charge rate because I started at a 66% and didn't really need a charge. But hey, it works. And so a handful of the posts that I saw were kind of like that, where someone was just testing it out, probably didn't think much about how they were parking. That is going to be an issue, but, we got to also pump the brakes on, the mental trains that seem to be kind of running off the rails on Twitter, that this is a pilot program. They've thought about this for a while, and they're going to expand it at a rate that's going to be okay. Will there be headaches and issues down the road? Yeah, probably, with anything there always is. Really, I think the good thing is they're taking it slow at first, and they're going to, it reminded me of Starship a little bit, where they're going to go fast and just start the program, and then find out what the issues are, and then tweak from there. And already we've seen there might be some parking issues. They had some wording in the app about that, about, make sure you're not blocking two stalls or parking over lines. By the nature of where some of those charging inputs are on the other vehicles, that's going to be hard not to block two. But some of the European stations are also more pull-through and have some different configurations, so that might be okay. I think the pilot program is it's in 10 stations the way I understand it, so not a huge program yet, but I think it's kind of that shock, kind of that fail fast mentality of SpaceX of, we're going to find out what all the problems are, or a bulk of the problems, by just launching this. And then we'll find out, do we need to add longer cables? Do we need to do more stations that are completely pull-through? Do we need to, set up, or maybe not even open all the stations? I heard there was some wording in the Tesla documentation about when they open it up, they won't be opening up to necessarily all chargers or all supercharger locations, but to ones that have capacity that aren't always full. So I imagine in California, this will probably be the last place where that's rolled out, unless they do massive more supercharger builds. And I know that's their plan, but I have the feeling they started this where they knew they could kind of control it with maybe some underused stations. They're going to figure out some of that stuff. We still haven't, and I want to cover this a little more, but we still haven't seen the US adapter. In Europe and the UK, it's all CCS. So the plug type doesn't matter, even though you'll have some of those spacing issues. But we still haven't seen the cable or the adapter, if it's a cable or not, for the US to go from the Tesla connector to the CCS port. John mentioned this to me earlier today, and I also had seen Inside EVs cover this. I thought they had a really good discussion on the whole thing and talked through some of the other reasons why Tesla would want to do this. So if you haven't seen that, it's worth checking that out. I think it was a half-hour episode. But they talked through a lot of this stuff. But one of the things it seemed like they got incorrect was in South Korea, there is a Tesla adapter that is our CCS standard, but it is to go from a CCS charger to a Tesla car. And the way Tom was talking about that Tom Moloughney on the panel was describing that, he was describing like this is what you're going to want to be able to use the Supercharger network. And that's not correct. You need the opposite of that. You need something that will receive the Tesla side and output to CCS. So I think he probably meant to say that, but he was talking about how he wants to get this adapter that's available in South Korea so he can start testing it, because eventually it probably will come here. So Tesla owners can use Electrify America and some of the other networks without having to do CHAdeMO or something. So I think he probably wasn't confused in his mind, but the way he described it was pretty confusing, where people who want to use the Supercharger network, non-Tesla drivers, are going to want the opposite adapter, which we have not seen. So I think that might be where this pilot program might be giving them some insight. If this is an adapter with a cable, how long of a cable is it going to need for the average US Supercharger installation? And that stuff they can figure out there, on the small scale, before they start mass producing this adapter, cable, whatever it ends up being. Before they roll that out wide to the US and then find out, oh, we made it 1 foot too short or something like that. So I feel like they probably have figured out that this might take a little time and need to go slow, need to start with those low utilization stations. On all of the images I saw of other vehicles charging at the Supercharger network, although people were very up in arms about they're blocking 2 spots, none of the other spots, or maybe one of the other spots at that, like 6 stall or 8 stall installation was taken up. So that might be part of the argument on Tesla's side of saying, hey, look, we're way underutilized in these, and if we open them up, even if it's just a handful of these places at first, we can get that utilization up and start making a little more money off of it. And it also sounds like they start charging a premium for non-Teslas. And there is a membership, if you're going to use it frequently, there's a membership you can sign up that has a monthly fee, but then you get a lower rate. But I think both of those rates are still below what comparable other networks are charging for electricity. So it'll be interesting to see if there's kind of a battle between charging networks there, or if non-Teslas are going to kind of flock to the Supercharger network to save some money. That'll be interesting to see in the coming days and weeks. But I've said before on here, and obviously I'm not an expert, but my gut tells me we won't see the adapter and stations opening up in the U.S. Originally, I thought mid-next year. The way things are going and the fact that we're in November already, I'd be surprised if we saw it before late next year or even 2023. I could see them maybe making announcements late next year, but maybe not actually rolling the program out until 2023. But we'll see. They might also need to do that for tax incentives or some wording on through the infrastructure program. If any of those bills actually get passed, that's another whole thing I'm not going to get into. But they may have to rush a little faster than they'd want to. From a research and best practices standpoint, if it means getting infrastructure money help to build the best and most reliable network larger than it already is. So it'll be interesting to see how they roll it out. I'm not worried yet. I've seen a lot of posts online about people very concerned about it, but I'm not worried yet. I don't think, we always, there's a tendency, especially in the Tesla community, to jump to worst case scenario and then find out, oh, it's not that bad. I'm thinking of the new software rollout, which I also don't have yet, but software rollout of the camera viewer for your Sentry mode and being able to talk through the speaker. And the people who had it for Halloween, that was fantastic. Great that they were able to use it. I've seen a couple videos, and I wish I could have done that. If I would have had that download, I would have, because we did do put the pumpkin in the frunk and the treats and stuff, the candy in the frunk, and that was kind of our dispenser method. And I had the boombox playing some Halloween playlist all night out through that in the driveway, so that was kind of fun. But I really wanted to, the voice almost sounds like RoboCop when you talk through the app, and so I really wanted to, your move, creep, to, some passersby and have some fun with it. But, when Tesla first started putting the speakers in, everybody who didn't have a speaker was like, well, I'm so glad I don't have that. The sound is so annoying. I wouldn't want that. Then the boombox feature came out, and, a bunch of people were like, oh, that's cool. Is there a retrofit? Could I get the speaker now? And now that you can talk through it, people are also like, oh, this is even cooler now. I really wish I had the speaker. So, I think the knee-jerk reaction is always like, oh, this is a bad thing. But I think if we give it time, we'll see that they've thought it through, and, there's going to be hiccups. But overall, I'm pretty optimistic about it. How are you guys feeling? Let's see what the comments are doing. The oh yeah as the Macho Man. Yeah, that could be, we could snap into a Slim Jim. Oh yeah! That was pretty bad, so I apologize. I wasn't planning on doing that right then. Yeah, John's been having some frustrations driving like an old man, but he did get his score up. Yeah, the adapters in South Korea right now are CCS to Tesla, not Tesla plug from a Supercharger to a CCS vehicle. And neither of them are available in the US, of course, either yet. Yeah, if they did it about 8 feet long, that would probably work. Like I said, I'm sure they're going to be testing different things out and coming up with a plan, because if you make an adapter that's, just the adapter piece and people can't get close enough, then it's useless and just going to cause headaches for everybody. Again, unless they have some other plan I don't know about. Would be nice if they would agree to put the port in the same place, Aaron. Definitely, that would be wonderful. And it might not be so bad for things like like the Kona and the Nero. I think have it on the very front, and that might be usable. Or I think the Porsche and maybe the Audi E-tron GT have ports on both sides, or some of them have ports on both sides. I don't know if they're both CCS on each side. But that was something the guys on Inside EVs were talking about, is maybe not changing vehicles that are in production now, but if this thing really takes off and everyone's using the Supercharger network, I could see, and they pointed this out, that maybe the next version of the ID4 or whatever's next that they put into production would have the port in that same place. So that I think that's going to take, it's going to have to take this being really successful for other manufacturers to kind of admit that Tesla's got it right from the beginning and change their style. And I also don't know if that placement is good for like the EVgo network or the Electrify America network. I'm thinking through it, and it seems like it would be with those stations. So yeah, maybe people will change in the future, but I can see that taking a few years. And if it gets super popular, maybe they just, in the US or in Canada at least, adopt the Tesla port. But I think Tesla would almost need to be like the Kleenex or the, where the name brand becomes synonymous with the thing. And that there might be some hesitancy to let it get that far, but we'll have to see how companies and other manufacturers, other charging manufacturers also, how they react to this. And so it might be a couple years of figuring out, what the best way is. But yeah, it would be cool if everybody just pulled in the same way and it was easy. Yeah, John, I don't know if they could retrofit it, because I think part of it is where the cables come off the battery and where you put like the inverters and things in the car. So I think it would have to be redesigned for a new vehicle. I don't know that you could do it to like an ID4 or a Mustang Mach-E as it is. But speaking of retrofit, I didn't have this in my notes. We talked about it a bit on the radio show because it just broke yesterday afternoon, where Ford was showing off their new drop-in motor, and they put it in like a late 70s, early 80s pickup, and it looked like different color, but it looked like one of my grandpa's or my dad's old pickups, and it was an EV with great horsepower, and I don't have my phone on me, so I can't look up the stats, but I think it's, what is it called? It's I'm blanking on it. I'm sorry. But anyway, Ford's got this new drop-in motor that they announced yesterday, and they did kind of an old school retrofit to turn an old body into a new high-powered electric truck. And it looks so cool, and the idea behind it is so cool. People on Twitter under the posting were like, "Make this right now." Whoever did this they deserve a raise. Whoever greenlights this deserves a raise. People were just piling on it, like how amazing this is, and it really kind of speaks to not necessarily the nostalgia, but as trucks get fancier and fancier, truck guys like having the niceties. But, I think everybody who's a truck guy, and like me remembering my youth and my dad and grandpa's pickup trucks, a pickup truck is a bench seat, like 3-seater max with an 8-foot bed and not many frills. And it's just a truck. And to see that and know it's electric and powerful and fast is like, oh man, that's all you need right there. That kind of thing could put me back into a truck, and I have no need or a desire for a truck. But I love the idea of it. So talk about a way to really convert people to electric who are skeptical. That's the way to do it. The Hummer retrofit on Jury Rig Everything. I've seen that he's doing that, but I haven't seen any of the videos yet. That's one of those things that I really want to watch, but I don't want to watch it while I'm watching my daughter or doing other things, or, a lot of times I'll put stuff up on YouTube and basically just be paying attention to the audio as I'm doing graphics or something for videos. And so a lot of times I miss some of the visuals. And that's one of those that like, oh no, I really want to watch some of those. Like, what is he doing and how is he doing it? What parts is he using? And so looking forward to seeing that. A lot of old sports cars have done it at the SEMA car show. Is that using the new Ford motor in that? If anybody knows what the name of that is, let me know in the chat. Because I had it yesterday and I have it in my phone, but I don't want to go digging for it. But anyway, that kind of stuff is super cool, and it's going to get enthusiasts excited about, electric vehicles. That's one of the things I was talking to Ton about on the radio show, and I'm not going to go into it here because I did there, but basically, what does the world of tinkering on your car look like when everything's an EV? So we kind of got into that because, he's worked on cars and, done all sorts of stuff. So, people are still going to want to work on their cars. And so we talked about that for a while, so I won't again here. More is from a forklift. I don't know what John was saying there, so. But anyway, it's cool that this stuff is popping up, and if you watch my Mach-E experience, one of the things I was talking to Paul Bloomquist about, the Ford dealer, is how Ford is kind of internally refiguring their mindset around EVs, where it was kind of an experiment, and then it's like, oh, there's a lot of interest. And then now I think they're really kind of hitting the flywheel of ideas of how we can make a big splash and kind of make this our big statement. Will they catch Tesla? Will it be as good? That's all debatable. Everybody likes different things. But the fact that they're doing it and they seem to be jumping in with both feet and getting good feedback, both from most of the Tesla community and other EV owners, I think that's just going to kind of keep priming that pump that they're going to try to make a big statement. And it feels like they're trying to get ahead of GM. And I know GM's got the Hummer coming out, but we still haven't seen the electric Silverado. And I think I think we might see Ford leapfrog GM in electric vehicles if they can keep the pace up and keep producing. So we shall see. But that's part of the excitement of the next few years, is seeing all the brands scramble and put their best foot forward with real serious EV attempts. So I'm really looking forward to that. Hey, what's happening? Chemist America Lifestyle in the house. Hey, Roland, welcome. How's it going? I was able to give away some very cool hats to the guys from the 5 count, and they were thrilled about them. Dusty's head is on the larger size, so he had it all the way up, and Ton's head is about my size or smaller, so he had it cinched all the way down, but they both looked great in them, so fantastic there. So thank you again for those. Yeah, if Tesla was alive today, what would he think? He'd probably be 6 steps behind and wondering why the company that bears his name is going so slow. Seemingly by the way he thought back then about things. So, yeah, that's an interesting question. Oh, cool. Well, thank you. I'll look for those. Yeah, so other topics. I'm getting sidetracked here. But so the FSD Beta should be rolling out to 98s and above. I'm hoping I get it Friday or over the weekend or whenever it actually drops. But I don't have a great Wi-Fi connection in my garage. And it seems like there's a lot of data going up and down, and they might be hesitant to push it to someone who's not usually on a Wi-Fi signal. So I'm thinking about ways I can maybe change that, move a booster further into my house somewhere, or I don't know. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but I'd love to get it, and I'd love to have it over the weekend where I can play with it a little bit. So it'll be very cool. I just watched, before we put my daughter to bed, She was watching some cartoons, and I was watching the channel Evie and Chill. Just got full self-driving beta. And they didn't do a full like drive along, but they showed part of their drive and kind of talked about how they felt about it. And they kind of have the same attitude as I do of it's unsafe if you don't follow the directions you agree to when you download it. And this is kind of something I left out in my video last week that was about the motorcycle accident that had that happen now, and the car had FSD. We wouldn't have had the motorcycle accident and all the repercussions that come out of there. And so as I was doing that video, I wanted to be pretty focused on just that topic, like make the case for why this is important and not get into the testing part of it. I don't know if that was a mistake or not, but I was trying to keep that video pretty focused. But really, you know, the people who are complaining that it's unsafe are, again, starting from the position that the roads are safe now, and they aren't. But also, you know, I've seen some videos that I'm not going to share or link to of people letting it do pretty terrible things. And yeah, the software made a bad decision, and 1 second into that bad decision, the human should have been taking over, or faster. And the fact that people are downloading this and agreeing to all the things, you know, it says could possibly do the worst thing at the worst time. You must pay attention. You must have your hands on the wheel. You must, you know, and, you know, be ready to take control at any moment. If you don't take control because you want to see what it does, and you let it do something terrible because you know you'll get a lot of clicks out of it, that's not the program as it's intended. Now, are some stupid people going to do that? Yes. Is that unfortunate? Yes, but that's on them for not treating it seriously and trying to get extra attention. Most of the FSD videos from the sources I watch have been pretty boring, because even when it does something stupid, the excitement is, oh, I didn't like that, and they take control, or they hit the brakes, or they hit the accelerator, and the human takes over when the program has failed. If people are doing that and being vigilant as they drive, it should be safe. I've also heard, I guess saw on Twitter, I always say heard as if, like, I didn't read it, but someone said it to me. Somebody said I was driving on FSD Beta, and I got a really bad phantom brake. And I was about to hit the accelerator when I saw the pedestrian, and I had not seen them before. And I just got home, and I'm still shaking. So here's someone who had they been driving themselves, had the pedestrian not seen them, had they not seen the pedestrian, could have been a fatality or, you know, a massive injury. And, you know, instead, the human didn't see it, but the computer did. And like I said in my video, that might not happen 100% of the time yet, but the human doesn't do it 100% of the time yet either. So, that's basically my take on it. Is, you know, if you agree to be vigilant and you're not vigilant, then that's on you. That's not on the program. Does it need to be better? Does it need to get better? Yes, absolutely. But that's the point of training it. And if you take that responsibility seriously, that should be exciting enough to keep paying attention, in my opinion. But again, maybe I'm not an expert. Who knows? That's just the way I feel about that. So, yeah, hopefully as people get it, we all use it responsibly. They get good data back. It continues to improve. And what I'm really excited to see is the rate of improvement when I get my first drive to my first update to my second update, and how fast is it improving, and in what ways is it improving, are the things that I'm really curious about. Again, if you're in the Minneapolis area, Dan Birkeland has done a bunch of drives around the metro area, and posted those on his YouTube channel. And that's always kind of fun for me, is seeing like, oh, I know that road, I know right where they are. Yeah, traffic is terrible there, but that's how it chose to get around it. If you're not in the Minneapolis area, look around and see on YouTube if there's someone in your area, because that kind of makes it a little more fun too. I don't know why I unmuted so you could hear me drink. That was weird. I apologize. Just what everyone wants to do. So I'll just touch on this because I'm not a financial guy at all. But Tesla stock has continued to have just a crazy run over this week. And Elon tried to kill it a couple nights ago with his tweet about, nothing's really changed. I don't know why this is going up so fast. But I think, the Hertz deal and kind of Uber partnering on that is kind of a validation of Tesla being in the lead as far as, if nothing else, producing EVs at scale. So I think all the funds and things that may have been a little hesitant are seeing that as a pretty positive sign. A pretty positive sign that Tesla is for real, and as they open these new gigafactories, that they're just going to accelerate. So I think it's kind of maybe in response to the Q3 numbers and report, and the Hertz news, but I think it's more of people are waking up to a snowball that's starting to grow pretty quickly. So it'll be interesting to see where it goes. I've only got a couple shares and really wish I would have bought more, but you never know. And, at the time you take the risk you feel comfortable with. So we did that. And, but, those shares have gone up, all of them, even the ones we bought pretty high have gone up. So, not financial advice. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just enjoying that things are in the green most days. But that's cool, and if any of you are shareholders, congratulations. It's been pretty green news lately. So I also want to admit to doing something really, really stupid. I talked a little bit about the the kind of setup we had for Halloween with the stuff in the frunk. I put teeth along the front of the car, and found a way to get those to stick. And I made them out of foam core, and stupidly, everyone's an expert, and then everyone's really also capable of doing the most boneheaded thing in the world. That was my Halloween. And I decided I would cut the foam core out in the frunk, like a genius, because then I'd be right there to kind of see sizing and everything. And I got a little cocky and put my knife right into the paint of the car. And it was the thing I knew I knew was possible. I knew it was stupid to do that work out there anywhere near the body of the car. And I knew it had a high likelihood of happening no matter how careful I was. And like I said, I got cocky. I thought, you're almost on the last one, and you think, I'm home free. I know what I'm doing. Yeah, the knife went through the board a little faster than I thought, and in a different, I thought I had it positioned one way, I had it positioned another way. Utility knife right into the paint, through the PPF, and I nearly wept, and I like, it's the kind of thing like I just wanted to walk into traffic. Like, this is it. It's over. I'm the dumbest man in history. And, the part of me that used to run a shop was like, you bonehead, you shouldn't have done that. Nobody should have done that. But you thought you are so smart. You are so skilled that you're not going to make that stupid mistake. And not only did I do the stupid mistake, I knew better, and I knew I shouldn't have done it. And that was the worst part of it. And so now I have about 1.5 inch silver strip, and where I cut into the metal through the paint, through the PPF, and I am just livid with myself. So I came here for confessional, to tell you all about it, and to suggest don't do arts and crafts anywhere near your car. It's just not worth it. Even if you think you know better, you're going to mess it up. Yeah, I was just beside myself. So when we hit the raccoon, we got a little nick in the PPF on that part of the car as well. And so I think I'm going to order some touch-up paint, which I had done on my Model S, and I will do the touch-up paint, because that turned out pretty well on our S, and then have them re-wrap that piece of the front bumper. But boy, I can't tell you how beside myself with rage and shame I was. It's one of those, like, I did it, I dropped the knife on the driveway, and just walked into the house, paced around the house for a while, and my wife's like, "Are you okay? What's wrong?" "It's okay, it's just a car." I'm like, it's not just the car, it's the fact that I'm a colossal idiot. So, anyway, don't do arts and crafts around your car. But I thought you guys might get a kick out of that, and maybe learn a little something from my stupidity. The car is whatever the stock blue is now. I can't remember what the name of it is. Yeah, it hurt my soul. And not because I love the car so much, no. But just the boneheadedness of it. Yeah, it's the blue, whatever the... Yeah, it happens. I'll get the touch-up paint. It'll be fine. I'll get it rewrapped. It's going to be, that part's going to be expensive, but like I said, we had another good nick out of it from hitting the raccoon. So, it makes sense when the car is still this new, 6 months old, and I do this. But anyway, Yeah, don't beat yourself up about it, Ben. Hi, Ben, by the way. Just look at your Tesla stock portfolio and you'll feel much better. That did take the sting out of it a little bit. With the run up, I'm like, okay, we've made a couple $100. I think I can, um, you know, I don't mind putting a little more into the car, on behalf of that. Um, Aaron says, I'm always telling my wife not to follow too close and whatnot. I've backed I've backed our Y into a rock and scuffed the induction wheel at the back at the bank. I was devastated in both times, and she's never hurt the car. I know I'm a terrible backseat driver. I try to keep my mouth closed and not make gestures and things, but um, I'm not a fun person to have in your passenger seat because I just yeah I react physically to a lot of things, and um, um, but yeah, my wife's never done anything wrong with the car, but I've hit a raccoon. I've scraped the paint, and who knows what I'll do next. You never know. I can't be trusted. But anyway, I just wanted to confess to that, and I figured you folks would understand the pain and stupidity. A couple other things I wanted to talk about were because of the raccoon hit, I tried to schedule a service appointment, and when I attached images to it, I couldn't get it to send. It kept saying retry, and I think you need to. Modern phones take too large of photos, like they're bigger than what you can upload to Tesla. So I haven't done this yet, but I've been meaning to just put them onto my computer, resize them, send them back up so I can put them into the app. And I just wanted to mention that if any of you have tried to schedule service and send photos in and that's been a problem, or your service appointment won't register or finish, that might be what the issue is. And it's a little frustrating, but I think last time I tried to do that, they had like a little notice popped up saying, images, or, the upload can only be X amount of megabytes or something. But I didn't get this time. So just kind of a watch out. You might need to resize your photos down. But hoping to schedule the service to get the new little bits and bobs in the trim, get those put back in. Yeah, Tim just goes big and hits a deer. Well, that's what I was thinking. I was driving from Mankato last night, and actually to Mankato was in the dark too, kind of right at dusk. And I did see a deer pretty close, a good-sized doe. And luckily it was kind of facing the other way and then scurried off. But I did think, like, well, I guess all this problem, if I really nail a deer out here or on my way back, and take that front bumper off, then, that's an easy fix to my cutting the bumper problem. But that's not really how I want to, like, I also want to have my car to use day to day. So kind of tough to be missing the front bumper and everything and still get FSD Beta. So I'll take the touch-up paint route. I'll let Tim live dangerously instead. Speaking of coming back last night in the dark, stopped by the St. Peter Supercharger and could have made it home, but I would have been fairly low. We'd driven around some parts of the cities earlier in the day, and then some of Burnsville, and then going down to Mankato and back. I would have got back with 10% or under. So it was routing, suggesting that I stop at St. Peter. I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? I'll stop and see what it's like at night. At night, there is nothing nearby. On the exit, there is a gas station with a small but decent sized little, snacks, restrooms, that kind of, gas station stuff. It's not gigantic, but it's not, like the teeny, like, one room schoolhouse size gas stations either. So it was fine. I did stop there on my way out to get some snacks to keep me awake on the drive home. But in the winter, there's not going to be much once Hy-Vee closes around that you're going to want to walk to. But if you're on a road trip and need to sleep before you make your next stretch, it's good and relatively dark and quiet. So I can see it being a good candidate for, charging up, pulling off to the side, and sleeping for an hour or two, and probably no one's going to disturb you. Now, you are in a relatively unprotected area, but you're also in a small town, and I would think any time other than a weekend night, you're probably not going to run into any trouble. If you're the kind of person that's comfortable doing that, I kind of am, and so, it might take me a little longer to get to sleep in a situation like that, but I would feel relatively comfortable doing that. Now, maybe if you're not as comfortable doing that, don't. There's a hotel, there's a Best Western, I think, right by the gas station, so there is another option. But as far as snacks or restrooms, you're going to want to get something before you get there or on your way out. I only needed to be there for 10 minutes, and even that got me, I was near 60% when it said I was good to continue my trip, and I thought I only need like 20 to get back home, but I was just kind of letting it do its thing and playing around on social media, and so the time went by pretty quickly. And of course, I shot a little video of it being dark there, but because that's how I kill my time at Superchargers. And then, yeah, we already talked about that stuff. So, kind of going off that St. Peter stuff, I did schedule an event, if you haven't seen it, in the Minnesota Tesla Owners Group for Saturday from 1 to 4, a meetup at the St. Peter Supercharger. And I called the manager at Hy-Vee and just said, hey, handful of us are coming down to do this. Is that cool? Do you want to be a part of it? And they're like, no, it's cool. We're welcome. We welcome everybody here. That's why we had it there. And we've already met some people who are really nice and said they'll use it all the time. And so that's really cool. But they didn't want to be officially a part of it. They're like, we'll just kind of let you do your thing. We don't want to. It sounded like they might be a little concerned about getting in trouble with like their corporate social media, if they would say something wrong or something. I don't know quite what the concern was, but and some people just are like, I don't want to be on camera. I'll use any excuse, whatever. But I didn't push them. I just said, well, we really appreciate that you guys have the chargers there, and if any employees want to know about it or know about the cars, here's the time we'll be out there, and we're happy to answer questions. When I was up in Brainerd at that new Supercharger, I went into the store And the gals at the register were kind of grilling me for about 15 minutes about how the chargers work, how the cars work, all the typical questions you get. And, they said that, yeah, they kind of put them in here and didn't tell us anything about them. So I wanted to let the manager know that if anybody wants to know, we're happy to, give input and help people answer. Because people do, and I told him this too, that, people do come in and ask the people doing the registers. They're like, what's the deal with those things? Or, so, if people want to know, most of us are usually happy to help anyway, but I thought giving them a set time would be good. And it's after the Gopher game, should be after the Gopher game. And, not on Sunday where we're dealing with people's church schedules or Viking schedules. I know everybody really wants to watch the Vikings again. But hopefully 1 to 4 on a Saturday. Hopefully it's not too cold. I haven't looked at the forecast lately, but yeah. So Jonah and I will be there the whole time, and then we might check out some of the other things around the area. Not too far, it's called the Traverse des Sioux Treaty Site. And that's I think it's got a little walk down by the river. And then in town further, there are parks and things further south on 169. There are some parks and some level 2 charging downtown as well. So more to see in St. Peter, but we're probably for the most part going to hang around the Chargers. So we will be there. And yeah, there is the Tint Pros event in the morning. And I'm planning on being there. My wife has a flight on Saturday morning that I need to get her to at about, I think, 6:30 or 7. I can't remember. So we got to do that. And then depending on how awake or feisty or sleeping Joan is, I'll kind of have to make that call after we do the airport drop-off. But I'd like to swing up there and make it to that event too. And that's my goal, is to be up there. And then have a little break and enough time to drive down to St. Peter for the afternoon. So, yeah, it would be great to finally meet you. And anybody else who's there as well. I believe that's kind of in the northwest metro. More north than west, but yeah. If all things go well with my daughter, then we'll probably be there. So that is, let me just look at my notes here. Yeah, I think that was all of the, Todd's going to both, so that'll be fantastic. And, yeah, I think that was all the topics I have. Are you guys, how are you guys feeling about the Superchargers opening up, or is it too far away in the U.S. that you aren't really concerned about it? Like I said, I meant to put a poll in here, but barely got the cameras turned on and focused before it was time to go live. So kind of a rush here tonight, but curious how people are feeling about that. Medina, that sounds right, for that Tin Pros event. yeah. Um, I think there's an event in the Minnesota Tesla owners group that has all the information. I actually got an email from them because they did my PPF. So I got an email saying, "Hey, we're having this event. Do you want to come?" And RSVP here. And I'm like, well, I'm not 100% sure yet, and it's weird that I got an email, but I guess you did do my PPF, so you have my email. But at least they don't spam me with other stuff. This is a pretty decent use of email, so I can't complain. Anyway, just looking through my notes again, see if there was anything I meant to talk about. Yeah, the address is on the event tab. But I think that's going to do it for tonight. Like I said, I spent a couple hours last night talking on the radio or recording for the radio. It still felt pretty official, so I'm going to still say it's real, even though we weren't at the radio station when we recorded. But yeah, so like I said, that's going to air on the 5count.com on Saturday. If you're a Patreon of theirs like I am, you'll probably see it tomorrow, which means I'm going to get it tomorrow and listen to it and probably cringe at some of the things I probably said. I know at one point I said the Superchargers were opening up in Norway, but it's the Netherlands, and I just knew it was Europe N, and I biffed it. So you can laugh at me for that on there. And then there was one other thing last night that I was kind of kicking myself about, but it was interesting because not to go way deep on this again, but Ton and Dusty, Dusty was asking funnier questions. Ton was asking more EV related questions, but Ton was asking a lot of questions that we might get at a lot of events. Pretty often, but in a way that was different and kind of made me rephrase some answers. Maybe not correctly or adequately, but I thought he was kind of getting at some of the unique areas of transferring over from going from gas to electric. And Dusty also might be launching his new YouTube page. Dustin Wilson, I can't say it. Dustin Wilmus Drives LeSabre is what that's going to be, with his adventures with his LeSabre, which would be fantastic. I so wish he would do that. I don't think he probably will, but it would be epic. But that's going to be hopefully a pretty fun show, and it was a pretty show too, of course. But you just don't get that over radio. And then the songs they play are all kind of electric themes because it was the electric night, and so should be fun to listen to. The 5count.com. It should be going live on Saturday. I think they publish it Saturday mornings, so look for that. I'll post about it like an obnoxious fool like I am. But if you enjoy this kind of torture, you'll love that because there's music too and other people's voices. So it can only go up from here, right? Let's see. check. Okay. If there's going to be a big line of Teslas going to St. Peter at the same time, I might tag along. Yeah. Yeah, there could be. I'm not sure what the best way from there to there is, but the good news is we know there's a charger on the line, or, at the end of it. And the charger is on the Tesla maps. I think that was new just yesterday, so that's exciting to see. Yeah, it is a pretty nice drive. Last time I saw you were almost to 1,000 subscribers. Will you be able to monetize? Not till I get there. I am at, what is it, 948 right now. So I've got a little ways to go, and excited for that. Just more for the milestone. Like, it's not going to be a big windfall of money, of course. But ever since YouTube started putting ads on videos that weren't monetized, I was like, well, at that point, if people have to suffer through ads anyway, or have the YouTube, paid version, then, I may as well be getting a cut of that too, since I'm putting in the effort. So we'll see. Like I said, it's not going to change how the content goes or anything. But it will be a nice milestone to hit, hopefully. I'd love to hit it by the end of the year. That would be amazing. And kind of just a validation of, hitting those milestones. 500 was a big one too. Really every 100 is kind of like, holy cow, how I so appreciate that people are willing to watch anything I produce. So I really appreciate that, every single subscriber. But when you hit those big milestones, it's just like, whoa, that's that's for real. Like, holy cow, that many people clicked. And it has gone down in the past. Some people have clicked off and unsubscribed, and I understand that. You're not going to please everyone all the time, but still, looking forward to it. That would be it would be really great if I can get there by Christmas, or by the end of the year. But whenever it happens, hopefully it happens. I'm just gonna kind of keep focusing on putting out stuff every week, and hopefully it's stuff you guys enjoy. This week is going to be kind of a little revisit of a video I did middle of last year, and kind of how the problem of last year is being solved. I'll leave it at that, but it's kind of revisiting, a charging wasteland that I visited last year with Joan, and so we went out there again, and now it's different and faster than it was the year before. And I also got some cool drone shots that are in there, so should be fun. It's nothing earth-shattering, but I thought after last week that was a little bit heavy. We kind of have a little lighter one, and then still hoping to do some interviews with some people and bring those to you. And then, if and when I get the beta program, I'll do something on that. I don't know how I'll cover it. I might just do, like Dan Birkeland, like I mentioned before, does a really good job of showing the full drive and what's happening, door to door, basically. And that's really good, but he's doing a great job of that here, and other people have done similar things in other towns. I think I might do more of find different places that I feel as it's been rolling out, and I've, as I drive around, I kind of wonder how will it tackle these challenging scenarios. And so maybe it won't be all one continuous drive, because especially in the suburbs where the roads are marked pretty well, there's probably not going to be too much that's going to stump it. Although if there is stuff, I will share the good and the bad, so don't worry about that. But I kind of wanted to take it to challenging corners or challenging areas and just do, here's testing it, the good and the bad, and what I'm surprised it can handle, what I'm disappointed it can't, and share all that stuff. But I might not do full continuous drives. Maybe for my first one I will. I'm still kind of debating that. But if I get it while my wife's out of town and I have to have Joan in the car, then I'll probably do just that piecemeal version. So you're not hearing the kids' toys in the background, and you're not hearing, the babbling, talking, the Sesame Street songs, all that kind of stuff. Although I know everyone loves to hear that, I'll spare you. And speaking of my wife being out of town, I think she gets back Wednesday night, which means as this would be airing, I need to be at the airport. So chances are we won't do a live stream. Excuse me. There probably won't be a live stream next week. But if I can wrangle the gear and it's not too awkward, I might do one from St. Peter, at least a short one. And then I can have other people on and kind of show the space live and, talk to different owners. And we'll see. I'll definitely be shooting some video there. The live portion will kind of depend on how much gear I can bring and still wrangle my daughter as we're doing that. So we'll see how that goes. But there might be a bonus live stream on Saturday, and then video on Sunday, and then no live stream next Wednesday. So, we'll see when live stream 30 is. But anyway, thank you all for joining. I really appreciate everyone taking the time to hang out on a Wednesday night and offer your advice and questions and input and sympathy for my poor car's paint job. And thank you for not making me feel even worse about it than I already do. But with that, I will let you all have the rest of your evening. I appreciate you joining me. And for those of you in Minnesota who will be at those events, I'll see you Saturday. For everybody else, looks for either a live stream or that video on Sunday. And then we'll catch you in the next one. So more coming. Thank you very much. And if I can find the right button, have a great night. Thanks. Good night.